All right, recording now.
Probably wouldn't hurt to have it, that we can go back to it. Thank you. Okay, well, let's get ourselves started here. Hopefully everybody's either eaten or has dinner handy that they're munching on, or somebody's going to give to them in a few minutes. So that will be good. But let's start with prayer. Are there things in particular you would like to have included?
Yes, of course, I'd like to pray for our country,
Uh-huh.
for peaceful transition of power, should that occur,
Okay.
and for the return of kindness.
Yes, we need that. Anybody else have something to add?
Nope, Wendy covered it for me.
Me too.
I have lots of prayers tonight.
That's all right. We can make room for them.
Sure.
A unit at work, we've been hit with both with staff and with patients.
I'm sorry, Wendy, you're cutting out. So what about your unit at work?
Pray for our unit. We've been hit with an outbreak of COVID.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Both patients and staff, and we're supposed to be a protected unit where patients are swabbed before they come to the unit, and we won't accept anybody
Right.
that's known positive, and that's not working out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Cindy, did you have something?
Margot came over. She had something. I'm sorry.
Okay, what you got, Margot?
So, my friend just told me today that her aunt has been fostering these kids, and it was just decided that they're going back to their abusive family. And I just want to pray for the kids that they're going to be okay.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for letting us know.
You're welcome.
That's a tough situation
Mm-hmm.
because we had foster grandkids that just went back to their home, and the home situation didn't change from what they left. So they were going back into the same situation.
Yep. No, you can't have my pen. Sorry. One of my cats is trying to steal my pen as I'm writing.
We'll have them take notes for you.
She's not the note-taking kind. She just wants to play with the pen. So
She's just the pen taking kind.
yes. Anything else we want to lift up? Even if we don't voice it, God knows them. So let us pray tonight. Gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as family and friends, to gather to do some of the work of preparing for worship for you in this season to come. But as we come into this, we have a lot that we bring with us from our daily lives. We have a lot of concern for our country at this time, everything that's going on around the election. The final numbers aren't in yet, and there's a lot of upheaval around that. So we pray for a easy conclusion to the voting situation, that all the votes get counted, that everybody's voice gets heard, and that whatever the outcome is, it is one that is a reflection of all who participated on this past election day. And then as we move forward, we hope for peace, whether it is during a time of transition or whether it is just complaints for someone who didn't win. We hope that we all can come to a time where there is more peace and kindness in this, as we are all gathering together to try and find our way out into the next step. We also ask your blessing, comfort, and of course, healing touch on Wendy's unit at work, all of the staff and the patients that are currently dealing with COVID, whether they have it themselves or whether they are trying to take care of those that do. We ask your blessing upon them and make this a healing and easy time period for them, that no one is lost, that no one is severely injured because of this pandemic. We also lift up families, families that are extended of ours that we adopt in to our own circle, children that we bring in as fosters, that we nurture and care for them and give them stability and consistency and love. And then the hard part is when we have to let go of them and watch them go back to the families of their birth, especially when we know that those situations aren't good. So we ask that you wrap your protective arms around those children, wherever they may be, the ones that we know and the ones that we don't quite know. And we ask that you take care of them and keep them safe during this time for them. We also celebrate the single dad that just adopted 5 beautiful children for himself, and extended sibling units. And what a joy it was to see that there are happy endings in all of this. We ask your blessing on our own families, our own lives, our own minds, and our own hearts. Help us to live your love and kindness into this world. Help us to be peacemakers and help us to be doers of good. We ask your blessing upon us tonight as we do your work. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So before we get started with talking details, options, things like that, we have results from survey. So thank you to each of you that participated in that. So Ethan has the results from the digital version, and then I have info from 5 other people. So I'll add my numbers, but you'll see that they reflect exactly what's already on the digital. They merge in with it very well. So Ethan, can you show us your chart there?
Okay, so as you can see, for the first question of do you usually attend our APM's Christmas Eve service here at the church, 80% responded yes, and 20% responded no. Out of those, as you can see, the number of attendants would be all over the board. Many said 4, many of them said 1 would be an attendant. Some of them had 8, as much as 8, 3. It's all over the board. In the season of COVID-19 flu, are you planning on attending in-person worship at Christmas Eve? 72% responded with no.
And that was reflective of the people that either called in or mailed back. I had 1 person that said yes and 4 people that said no.
So with this question here, even if 28% did show up, I don't believe that the number of usual attendance would make a big problem for us when it comes to the limit of in the building.
Right, I agree.
And then as it says, if yes, how many of your family are you planning to attend? I mean, there's that 1 person that did say 10, or actually no, sorry, that's 10 responses saying not available. So
Right.
they're not planning on attending. Most of them are just me or 2 of 4.
Yeah.
The rest are all NAs of some variants. So yeah, as you can see, it wouldn't be that many that would be in the building.
Yep.
If we were to have an early 30-minute outdoor Christmas Eve service with a live nativity, would you attend? We had 72% say yes, they would. So that's the exact same amount that normally,
yeah, it was a flip.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. Out of the ones that responded the alternative ways, we had 1 that said yes, they would come for an outdoor service, and 3 that said no.
So if we were to have an in-person Christmas Eve service and numbers exceeded 25 in attendance, would you be willing to be seated in fellowship hall and participate via projection from the sanctuary? 80% said no, 20% said yes.
Yeah.
Funny enough, that's actually the flip of the first question of how many people actually come on Christmas Eve. If you're not planning on attending our in-person Christmas Eve service, will you attend via Zoom or conference call at 8 p.m.? 88% say yes, 12% say no. If we made a pre-recorded Christmas Eve service that you can play it on YouTube at your convenient time, would you use it? 52% say no, 48% say yes. At this point in time, I'd like to say that just remember, anything that we do on Zoom or any other recorded thing, I will always upload to YouTube for posterity for us
Right.
to be able to go back on. So
Yeah.
even if 52% say no, it's still going to be there.
Okay, so we have Zoom is a hit still in the conference call. Outdoor worship was a really big response, and indoor worship was a minor response. So what's everybody's thoughts?
Well, I think it's obvious to me that people are interested in some type of live connection, whether it be the live nativity scene outdoors or the live Zoom session.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that people want to somehow feel connected to the church,
Sure.
even if they don't feel safe coming into the church.
Right. Okay.
If we do the 30-minute outdoor service, are we going to have enough people watching the service, or are we going to have more people participating in the nativity scene?
Well, I'm thinking, we didn't talk about this the last time, but in my mind, when I'm thinking live nativity, I'm thinking basically Mary, Joseph, and our baby doll.
Okay, got it.
I'm not thinking, a whole menagerie of visitors and guests, and because y'all kind of the spectators
Right.
fit that bill.
Okay,
They're all
good.
the visitors that come to see. So it would be kind of like the time period that Mary and Joseph are by themselves at the stable, and just, the visitors come to them, and just as, we can have them get up and leave like they're headed off for Egypt or something. So I was kind of thinking keeping it basic. So then the next question is who would we have play Mary and Joseph? And we could even do it if we're in the sanctuary too, but the outdoor could be a little bit more authentic. We'll check and see if we can't have a fire and get a fire pit, which will keep it semi-contained. So we won't have the issue of it being lit on the ground, so to speak. So is Margot handy?
Not right now.
Okay.
She'll be back down in a minute.
Okay, because she comes to mind, obviously, to play Mary, and it's a non-speaking role, so, and then we have to figure out who Joseph is, and we've got two options. We've got Chase and we've got Austin. So those are our two options as to, I think for Joseph, in order to keep it within the age range of what we usually do for the two of them. So that's just kind of the thought there. So, all right. So if we are going to do, so what are our thoughts? Do we want to do a early 30-minute service and an 8 o'clock service? Or do we want to do just an 8 o'clock service or just a 30-minute earlier service? Those are our options.
I would be inclined to say one service at 8 o'clock. My concern with the live nativity is that the weather is always a factor too.
Yep.
I don't really want to have to see you do two services. I just, I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing a live service at 8 o'clock inside for those who want to come, and then a
Zoom.
Zoom for those who,
Okay. Is anybody opposed to that? That they really want to see the outdoor service? I mean, it would be cool. Even if we do the indoor service, we can still have Mary and Joseph make their appearance, lay baby Jesus in the manger, and sit in the space for a time and then get up and leave. So we can still do that if we choose to.
With the outdoor nativity, would we be doing that live on Zoom or recorded so that it would be able to later on be put on the Zoom or YouTube or both?
If we were going to do it outside, then either one would be live. The outside one, I don't know if we would be able to Zoom from outside because of quality issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you thinking?
But that brings up a good point. Like, why not, if we really liked the whole idea of that Mary and Joseph sitting outside, why couldn't we plan it for 2 weeks from now, videotape it, and then add it to the Zoom or something like that on Christmas Eve?
Well, we could probably.
That would actually be much easier for me because otherwise I'm looking right now at the aerial view of the church. I'm trying to think of, as you can see here, I'm assuming that we would do it over here somewhere.
Probably.
I'm just trying to think of the logistics of how we would get the equipment outside to be able to do it in live on Zoom.
Yeah,
And,
I don't think we could Zoom it if we were outside. I think the sound quality would just be, not to mention visual quality would be an issue.
Yeah.
But I think the sound quality would be the bigger issue.
Yep.
Since we wanted to use live fire, I was planning on setting them up on the tarmac, not in the grass.
Okay.
So we would need to create, a bit of a shelter type, which we've done before for Easter. We've done that, gray tarp and things like that, just something that creates an illusion of like stone wood type view. But yeah, I think we could do that. And then we just have to figure out the best timing to show it. And I'm wondering if maybe, well, we'll get to that, because one of the questions I have is if we're going to be in the sanctuary, do we want to sing one song? And usually it would be our traditional Silent Night. Wendy's shaking her head no.
Absolutely. I absolutely do not recommend that.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but this, I have to ask the question. So,
Yep.
We can play it, because one of the other thoughts was pre-recording folks singing it. Now this comes into play of Ethan, and Ethan gets the final say on whether this is even an option. Pre-recording folks that are willing to sing, even if they sing with a joyful noise and not necessarily on key, from different locations. So it's not all in the sanctuary. It's like I could do part of it in the sanctuary. Other people could do it, in their house around their tree or outside, with candles or, so we could have it done in different locations. But then the thing is how do we blend it? And how much do we have of each group person singing in order to make it easy for Ethan to dovetail it? So
Cute.
That's an option. But like I said, Ethan gets final say, because I know that there's editing tactics for it, and I don't know whether he feels up to that task and how long it would take. That's the problem. And I'm thinking only like a verse, not doing all 3, 4, whatever we usually sing on Christmas Eve. So that's an option. There are plenty of other options out there of people singing Silent Night, that can be played while we show the video of, Mary and Joseph, the live nativity.
You could always have somebody like like Barb or a soloist sing it, pre-record it,
Mm-hmm,
and show that pre-recording,
mm-hmm.
or play that pre-recording. And you don't necessarily have to hear, I guess.
Okay, so if we want to go that route, which is something
Here.
we could do, we could, do we have any white choir robes? What color are your choir robes? Cream?
Cream.
Okay. Let's say it is Barb or, whoever we decide. What if we make them like the heavenly choir person and they are near the live nativity, but not close, and they're doing the singing that way? But is that a sound quality issue?
Hmm.
I don't know.
Let me think about this. We would need to have them on the mic. Would the nativity be needing any sound or anything?
No, it needs
Right.
nothing. But the hard part is if we have it outside, it's controlling the environment. So
Right.
I'll have to talk to my Mr. Firefighter if there's a way that we can, or we need to rig up a pretty realistic looking fake fire.
The other option is if we're pre-record. Is this talking about doing it live or pre-recording?
Well, I was thinking if we're pre-recording the live nativity, like Cindy suggested,
Right.
we just do a video of it,
Mhm.
and we have X amount of time. So Mary and Joseph come in, as if they're coming into the stable area. They sit down, baby gets placed in the manger that we have.
Mhm.
And, so we have to kind of deck it up in terms of what we want it to kind of look like. But baby gets placed in the manger and they are there together.
The reason
Then they'll get up and leave at some point.
the reason why I ask is because what we could do is whoever would be doing the singing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say Barb. We could have her do the singing portion beforehand, record it,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the video I could put that track over her singing it. She would have to be listening to herself and mouth it
So how good can Barb lip sync is what you're saying?
to herself.
Right.
That's the benefit. She knows her own patterns of
Yeah.
when she would normally
Yeah.
take a breath and things like that. And even then, honestly, she just needs to know when to cut off.
Right.
I mean, she could still sing it if she wanted to. We would just need to.
There'd be no sound.
Right.
Um,
Or there would be little sound.
right.
Um,
Well, we can figure that out, but what do you think of that? If we have the person or people who are going to be doing the singing, they're present in choir robe as if they are one of the watchers.
It's a nice
As
idea.
long as
I
there's no, like, they're against artistic integrity or anything. like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they would get offended, but yeah, nice.
I do like the idea of having different like family groups
Yeah.
do like a phrase and then splice all those together.
I know that's
That's
awful hard. That takes a lot of
Would be-
splicing time, and I'm not sure Ethan wants to tackle that monster. But yes, it would be ideal if we could do something like that. But I don't know that is something that Ethan wants to take on right now.
Okay, I just
I mean, I've been exploring some things. It depends on. I would say it would depend on how many people we would want to spice together. I'm not sure where Lainey is right now.
She should be popping in anytime.
Yeah. Because she had some thoughts also. So
Yeah. So that's something that we can work on. But
well, I'll be right back.
okay.
Uh-oh.
Kids.
Okay, so it sounds like any singing that we might have would be recorded. Live nativity would be pre-recorded. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we just need to figure out who are Mary, Joseph, and Baby.
Margaret said she'd
Baby's
do it.
easy. So, is Margot there?
Yep, she said she would do it.
Awesome. She doesn't have a speaking part this year, so
Yeah.
I won't torture her with that. Okay. So the thing is about the music, what we can do with that, but we'll figure something out.
Looks
About-
like
Yeah.
Lane's on her way home, so she'll be
Uh,
home about 5 minutes or so. She must
She
have had
hopped in
some.
the car rather than.
Yeah, she must have had some problem or something like that. So
Okay, that's fine.
So basically, we're gonna be doing
Ooh,
live worship at 8 o'clock
group 1.5.
with Zoom for the people that want to participate.
At
And
8, not 7.
no, at 8 o'clock. And then they're gonna pre-record a live nativity and then pre-record Silent Night, someone singing Silent Night. Possibility of multiple verses, multiple voices, or just one person, or,
Right.
okay, now you're up to speed.
Okay.
another thought:
Yeah.
if we have different people singing verses of Silent Night,
Mm-hmm.
we could have each person come to a
There you
location outside the church at set amounts of time,
Mm-hmm.
just to do their one or two or three verses,
Right.
and then I could kind of piece them together that way.
Yeah. I like that. Like, I'm thinking maybe if Barb would do it, and then maybe Lisa and Glenn, if you guys want to sing a verse.
Sure.
Could we also do it in another language
Mm.
where you actually have each group do a different language and kind of, I don't know, kind of even incorporate your community in with the rest of the world for that evening?
I'm not sure people would want to be connected with the rest of the world for that evening this year.
And I know that I can
No.
do it. I can,
It's a lovely thought, but you know.
I can do
Okay. Never
the
mind.
German, but
Okay, we have
it's not
German.
as thick.
Maybe we'll just stick with that.
So it's something we can definitely look at and see and figure out. I'm not thinking full verses because that's quite a bit, but maybe portions, like half of a verse or something like that, Ethan. So, but
Right. But I
um,
mean, it would be like enough that it would be, there might be like one main person that would sing,
mhm.
and then I could insert other people's contributions, pepper it in where they are assigned to. But
Yeah.
I'm not the one that's doing the assigning on that. So
Well, yeah, that's something, we just have to know how big of a segment that you need. And part of it could be is we could have everybody be pre-recorded for the first verse.
Mhm.
And then you can cut and splice what works for you.
That's true.
because the verses aren't that long.
No. So whether we do just one verse or two verses, I don't know, but we don't need to sing all four. But we could if y'all wanted it. So, All right. The other thing is, with singing comes candles. So, do we want candles this year to be handed out to everybody?
I
You
think
mean
if we are in live worship in the sanctuary, I think we should have candles.
Individuals with
Yes.
I
candles?
thought we weren't singing in church.
We're not,
We're not.
but this
Okay.
while the song is being played,
Oh, well, okay. I'm
do
sorry.
we want to do the traditional candles?
No. I mean, I think it should be, I just think it's a cleanliness issue. If there's some way that they can be distributed with a minimal amount of contact,
Uh-huh.
okay, or maybe encourage people to bring their own, or have
Okay.
them packaged in plastic bag, maybe.
Well, we could do that. The problem is it's the return of them. But then again,
Well-
they can sit there for a
Well,
week.
no, we
I would think we don't return them.
don't return them. We buy them and they take them home.
And what about lighting them though? Because you got to get closer to than 6 feet to light them.
Brandon, what
We use
about,
a long stick?
what
you could-
about,
Yeah.
No, a person could come in, if they'd step forward, there could be a main candle and they would step up and light their candle and move on.
But
Or
you're
the next
right,
person.
with the distancing in the pews, it really wouldn't work because we're staggered at locations. So that would make it harder. So this year we would have to bypass the individual candles. So maybe we just put a lot more up on the altar and around the chancel.
well, another option, those battery operated candles.
Yeah.
I think, what was it I got last year? 12 or was it 24?
Only one box. So it was
So
like
that'd be
12 of them.
12 of them. So we might want to do that. I mean, yes, there's when they get handed back in, they'll need to be sanitized, or they could sit there. Would just letting them sit there for a week, would that take care of it, Wendy? Or okay, so we can just let them sit there for a week.
It wouldn't hurt to wipe them all down because they're going to be in a big pile. So some of them won't get the airflow.
Right. Or we could just spray them out onto the, oh, there's my wife.
She is in the dark.
Yeah, she just pulled in.
I guess, yeah.
Are you referring to the tea lights, like the
No,
battery tea lights or something, or what?
No, they are
What are they like?
they are battery operated candles I got for the kids last year, and it was it last year or 2 years
Yes.
ago?
last year was the first year we used them.
Yeah, the kids, it was a big hit because they were playing with it all during service and everything. Let me
Right.
see if I can pull up the order so I can show it to you guys.
Yeah, what they are is they're a round candle. They look like a regular, the small ones that we use. They're about 6 inches, and they twist to turn the little light on.
And when you twist them at the bottom, that's what makes the connection to the battery from the positive and negative side. Here we are. Let me just share the screen so you guys can see what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have, this would solve the problem of getting close enough to light them up.
Yeah.
Um,
How much
We-
were they? Okay, so
$12.99.
$12.79 for 12. Close to over $1.
and that was for a dozen of them. Yep.
Yep.
We would need probably 4 more of them. Maybe 5.
4 dozen or 4 single ones?
Oh, no, 4 boxes of the 12. So like 48 or
Yeah.
60 more of them because we've got about 12 of them now. So
And they
we
take-
would need, a chunk. We're not going to have tons of people in there, but still, you don't want to short anything.
and they take 2 AA batteries, as you can see, so we need
Yeah.
enough batteries for that.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's another option that we can do instead of the
Yeah.
physical candles. The only thing that I would say is we would need one person
Gloved and masked, handing them out.
gloved and masked and installing the AA batteries.
Yep.
Handing them out. And the bottoms are literally if you twist them a little bit too much to the left, the batteries fall out because it's just rigged up so when you twist it to the right, that's what makes the connection and that's what turns them on. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
that's the thought right there.
What's everybody think? Something like that, or do we just say no individual candles, period, no matter what? Because there's cost for there.
I still like the idea of candles because I just think it's that whole tradition thing, you
Yeah,
know.
well, this year sometimes we have to non-tradition.
I get it.
and we just have to bite the bullet. I've got other things to talk about there that are gonna mess with tradition, so, you know. Okay, so if we bought 5 boxes at $12.79, that's about $64. And then plus the batteries. And the batteries are gonna be probably more expensive than the.
You get the, you know, for that purpose, you can get them at the dollar store.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just need
but
to
still.
last one night.
Yeah, still, it's a chunk.
40 batteries.
So. we
Glenn
just
and I
need-
will buy the batteries for whatever candles we get.
So am I hearing we want to use battery operated ones? What do y'all think? Yes, no?
That's fine with me.
Let's just go with, let's just go with it. Let's try it out.
Okay.
It's a new day.
I think it's going to be as close as we can get for what we normally do. Okay, so Christmas Eve, we're gonna do live in the sanctuary, 8 o'clock. With Zoom and phone option. We are going to pre-record the live nativity, and Margot is willing to be Mary. And I'll have to work on my Joseph. We have baby, so we're good there. We've got the manger, so that's not a problem. And we can always bring fire pit. So, we'll get through with that. So we can always light it up and give them some natural light in that type of experience. We talked about pre-recording singing for Silent Night, and we're discouraging anybody from singing along during the service, but unfortunately I can't stop people from flapping their jaws. But we'll have hopefully pre-recorded with multiple people spliced together. Does that sound what we've talked about so far?
Yes.
And the battery operated candles.
Wearing masks, so they're not going to be saying along the way.
Oh,
Lane, do you have
people are
any-
listening.
Lane, do you
We're
have
not
any
going-
thoughts on this? On the,
We're doing live.
That is what everybody's decided they want to do at 8 o'clock. And
So
the
having
number-
people in the sanctuary.
the number of people that are going to come into the sanctuary isn't going to be huge, but there were enough people that were interested in 8 o'clock service, some in the sanctuary and the majority on Zoom. So I think that's what that's what the group decided that they prefer to do.
I do have a question though,
Mhm.
with how do we, with the live in service,
Are we going to have a cap on how many people are in the sanctuary and then
Exactly.
overflow to the fellowship hall?
Well, we're going to have a cap. And so the moment that we say we're going to hold indoor service, we're going to have people tell us that for sure they're coming, basically RSVP.
Yeah,
We
reservations.
know what we've got and that we can spread it out.
Yep.
So that's the reality of it. We're going to have to do that.
yeah, because with the responses for the fellowship hall seating,
There were just a few.
I really wouldn't want to try and set that up
No.
to set anyone else in there.
Yeah.
And
the numbers that responded, Ethan had 25 responses, I had 5. And out of the 30 that responded, most of those are reflective of the families that participate regularly anyways, or individuals that participate regularly. So I think we have a pretty good idea of the number of people that would attend, and especially if the Zoom option is available same time, just like we do on regular Sundays, that the number is going to be reflective of that. I don't think we're going to have an issue with number in the sanctuary, but we really want to try and get people to say, yes, I'll be there, so that we kind of have an idea of number that we're dealing with. So we'll just go from there.
My only concern is, we do get people that don't normally attend. And what would happen if an abundance of people showed up in person? How would we police that?
That is an excellent question, and I'm open to suggestions for that. What do y'all think?
I think we could just add some chairs out in the gathering area to accommodate that. I mean, unless it was going to be so many, and I can't imagine that we would have that many, that it would be overwhelming beyond that.
Mhm.
And
I
could
think
we also
really
use, could we also use the choir loft and also the seats over on the other side of the sanctuary too?
Yeah.
Spread people out even more.
Yep. A way of possibly culling out some of the, gee, I'm going to go to worship there tonight, is by posting, we could say it's by reservation. A lot of churches are doing that for their Sunday services, much less for Christmas. You have to register, basically RSVP, that you will be attending X amount of time in advance, because of this needing to limit the number of folks in a sanctuary or space. So what do you think of that?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Obviously, distancing in the sanctuary is a great idea.
We're already have that set up for that, but yeah, we'll have to be much more cautious about it.
And somebody, like I said, somebody might have to step up and like be the policeman for it, and just
Right.
say, could your family move to the choir loft, so that we can
Right.
make social distancing.
So we'll,
And the reason I haven't been at church, and the reason that I won't be there Christmas Eve, is because, I mean, statistics show that
Yep.
church is one of the highest places of the transmission of the disease, and I
Well-
just want to be safe.
yeah, most of that has been from the churches that have been the major issues. I mean, yes, you're getting more people in one space, but the churches that have been the major issues are because, one, they're telling people they can take their masks off when they sit down. And
Mhm.
two, they're singing,
They're singing.
That's
right?
crazy.
and
That-
they're doing the touchy thing.
That's
And
crazy.
so it's as if worship is no different than it ever has been, other
Exactly.
than when you walk in and out of the building. And it's like, that doesn't work. And we've got pretty tight parameters. The mask doesn't come off.
Yeah.
Other than when they were eating communion on Sunday, the mask doesn't come off. Mine is
And
the
there-
one that's off just so that people can see me and hear me clearer.
And at those places too, there's like hundreds and
Yeah.
thousands of people that show up there too. So
I know. I drive past the east version of Church of the Open Door on Sundays,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it's really close to where I live. And when I drive past there Sundays, when I'm coming home, I'm stunned with the number of vehicles. Now, I have no clue what their seating capacity is, but I look at that and I go, oh my God. And last Saturday, they had a fall fest because it was Halloween, and the number of people, and everybody's close together, even though it was in the parking lot. And I'm just like, oh, heck no. So we've done everything that we can to keep it as safe as possible, and everybody's been great. But yes, Christmas Eve is going to be a little bit different. The restrictions are still there. And I don't think we're going to have an issue with the number of people. But if we clearly put it's by reservation, I think that will cull down some of it even more.
Yep.
For walk-ins. So we'll see how it goes. We'll just have to go from there. Other thoughts about Christmas Eve? Because I have some questions about just setting up for Advent period. So anything else we want to talk about for Christmas Eve?
Can we talk music for a second?
Yes.
So I the past few Christmas Eves, the pre-service music has been largely vocal.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to be able to pull that off unless people pre-record things and send it
Right.
in. The instrumentalists that I know, they're probably going to want paid unless I make it, maybe, I'm hoping that maybe they wouldn't want paid or expect to be paid if I can make it super easy for them and just say, can you guys like record something and video record something and send it to me? You know, like a hymn or something, or they play two. Like I could see that being appealing, and then the voice stuff could still happen if all that pre-service music was then recorded.
Right.
That would make sense.
I
Yeah,
thought
do
we
we
weren't
wanna
doing
just-
pre-service.
Do we want to just not do pre-service music this year?
I thought that we were just going right to the 8 o'clock service.
We could. I have no qualms with that. I just thought it was expected.
I mean, I'm not opposed to them having music and having it pre-recorded, and keeping it more around the traditional carols and type things. Yeah, anything that would be very Christmassy, traditional, but you know, that's up to you. If you want to get a couple of them, I wouldn't think we have to fill an entire half hour. And I think the instrumental would be better than having people singing, but either way, pre-recording is the way to go. The only song that we are going to use as something that is sung, but it will be pre-recorded during the worship service, is Silent Night.
And how do you want that done? Do you want one person to sing it? Do you want the choir to send me voice clips and we edit that together?
Yeah, we talked about that is, you know, tapping people, mostly it's going to be choir folk, but tapping people to pre-record, you know, with Ethan's help, like at the church or something, maybe in different spot locations around the church, but singing, and then he will cut and splice segments. So not, you know, necessarily a phrase and then another phrase from somebody else. It would be bigger blocks, but multiple voices. So, but
all the verses?
Well, we were talking about that, and I said I'm okay with one or two verses rather than all of it. Thinking that it would be played at the time, because we're also going to pre-record the live nativity. So it would be played at the same time as the live nativity is shown on the screen. So however Ethan can work that magic, it is entirely up to, that segment would be entirely up to him. And folks would be given candles during that time period, and we're talking about the battery one, so that is easy. Light, here we go. So we'll see what happens with that. But so music, I'm thinking throughout the service itself, any music that we're going to use, Lainey, would be you playing up, you know, like one verse of one of the carols that we often sing. But you and I can plan that more, you know, one of these days, sitting in the office while Ellie's in preschool.
Yeah, okay.
Because we want to discourage people singing.
Right.
So, but we want some transitional type music too. So we'll have to figure out what we want to do with that.
Okay.
One final thing we have, Eva had started y'all doing communion on Christmas Eve. I wasn't planning on doing that this year. Does anybody have a major concern with us not doing that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we keeping, I might have missed it, I'm sorry. Are we keeping this 8 o'clock service kind of like the half hour, or are we trying to do it in an hour?
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
I would think with as many people that we might be getting in the church, you're going to want to abbreviate the service a little bit.
Yeah. It's going to be more like what we have on a regular Sunday morning. We're taking out the communion. We're going to be, simplifying the story structure. So we're going to probably 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes is what my aim is. So kind of like what we've been doing on Sunday mornings. So it will
Got
be
it.
a bit
Okay.
more abbreviated. And yes,
Okay.
more people in there, the less time that they're together, the better.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else for Christmas Eve? All right. If you think of something, email me, whatever. Advent stuff, this is going to be pretty quick, but there's a couple of things that I want your thoughts on. One is decorating. Because we're focused for Zoom, our view is focused really on the chancel, around the altar table. So from pulpit, yeah, we right now we stretch over to Laney, but pretty much from pulpit to lectern, that is your view that we're looking at. And so what and how do we want to decorate this year? So no big tree. It would be silly for us to put up the big tree because even though people will be in there for Christmas Eve, they will be reminded focus is Zoom. And this is our view, not the whole building. So we're going to be tightening it down to the chancel space. What do you think we should be doing for decoration?
I would suggest one of the small trees, and we do have at least 2 artificial poinsettias, don't we?
We do.
We could purchase some more of those if we wanted. They're not that expensive.
Right.
I mean, if we wanted to add, kind of beef it up with poinsettias or something.
Right. Right now we are selling, the option of buying the real ones is there,
Right.
but they don't come in until about Christmas Eve.
Right.
And right now we only have 2 people that have ordered. So
They've been less and less every year, I feel.
yeah.
But I have a poinsettia that's fiber optic. That's kind of cool. It's like a poinsettia tree,
Uh-huh.
and it's red, but it's got little fiber optics in it. It's really pretty.
That would be kind of cool.
But what if you just tackled people and say, "Hey, do you have any
I don't know
fake
what that is.
poinsettias lying around?"
So if we were going to put up one of the smaller trees, where would we put it?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So think of where would we put a tree in our chancel area?
Right in front of the piano, so you don't have to look at me.
There's an idea.
Not happy.
But will it buffer Roberto's sound?
Nah, maybe a little, but nah.
Hey, Brenda, I say we put a Kindle right by Laney's piano so I can switch to that video.
Well, let's see. I mean, I think it would be important to have the Advent wreath visible on the screen as well.
That was one of the things I was going to ask about. So Advent wreath is usually on the credence table, and that can be moved. We can have that. Well, it can be moved. It definitely is visible even where it's at right now, but we can move it so it's even a bit more prominent. If you want, it can go right in the middle of, down the one step. It can go right in the middle of the chancel, so it's lined up with the altar table center, if you want that there. So, and then lighting of the wreath, since we're having some folks in house, I'd love to have a liturgist kind of helping, but we're tied to using just the pulpit right now because of the extra microphone. So I'm not sure how we can do that quite so easily, but I can get somebody that's there each week to help with the lighting of the wreath.
Brenda,
Yeah.
do you have a specific theme that you're going to be using through Advent? that you, in terms of decorations, you're asking about decorations. I mean,
I
maybe
don't
more
have
than
a
just the
particular,
standards.
this is part of what our conversation is
Yeah.
what do we want to do? And, you know, if we're gonna use a smaller tree, do we want it more with traditional ornaments, or do we want to use like the angel tree that we have in Fellowship Hall every year?
But I guess my question I'm asking you is, do you have a theme that you're using through the season here at all?
Tradition.
Sometimes you do that, sometimes you don't. I'm just, okay.
No, it's just traditional. We're following, you know, the traditional storyline.
Okay.
So that's it. I'm not doing anything different, anything, you know, special this year. Wasn't planning on it to begin with, but even more so now with COVID going on. So we're trying to keep it in that traditional realm. So I want to give folks the anchors that we have, the wreath.
Mhm.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
Since, do we need to put up a Christmas tree?
Yeah, I'm thinking that too now, Lisa.
If we put the Advent wreath front and center on the credence table in the middle between the lectern and the pulpit, and we have poinsettias or whatever around it, do we really need to do any more than that? We
Right.
put our blue paraments on for Advent, and I mean, you're talking, you know, maybe we just do a front and center visual and be done with it.
I
Well,
agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking, you know, and just add some poinsettias. I mean, I can certainly buy a couple of them that are
Yeah.
they look like the ones that we sell on Christmas Eve, but they're just fake. We have the two that'll be on the altar, right? Don't we have arrangements for the altar?
There's 2 fake poinsettias that we have, and I think they're white.
Either way, I bought those.
Right.
Glenn brought those years
That we
ago.
currently have. So I think having some red ones and then mixing in maybe a few more white ones, if we could find white. All I've ever really seen at the store for the artificial are the red ones.
The
But,
red ones, yeah.
I know Michael's probably has them right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if Joanne's does. And we can order those and do curbside pickup.
They all
If you
do.
can make it.
I mean, Walmart, all the places have their
Yeah.
Christmas stuff out now.
Yeah. So I think we can get, you know, we don't need a ton of them, but I would say probably 6 or 8 of them. And if we're going to put them around like the credence table, that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we really need to go to
A tree.
a tree.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
Because the hard part is where do you put the tree?
Right,
Yeah.
that you're going to see it, and who's going to come in and put, you know, who,
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
logistically.
I can see the only need for a tree is if you're going to use it for one of your stories or something, or at some point.
planning on it.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
what's the
Okay.
point?
So no tree.
Yep.
The other thing that we use every year is the nativity set, and we build it each week. You know, with the kids, do we want to put one of the nativity sets up on the altar table?
That's a good idea.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Okay.
a real good idea.
Because they're pretty big enough that you can at least, you know, even on Zoom, you can tell what it's supposed to be, even if you don't see the detail.
So what would be better for Zoom, Ethan? Don't we have an all white nativity scene?
We
Yeah.
do.
And have some with more color?
Yeah.
So what would show up better visually on Zoom?
Give me 1 second here.
We might have to try it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's something that we're gonna need to
Yeah.
try.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to try it.
And
You-
especially if we use the all white, do we want to create like a curved background?
A
that is
backdrop, yeah.
dark behind it that gives it something to,
Yeah, I think your all white would actually might be better because
yeah.
it'll get you to focus on that. Because I think when you look in Zoom right now, we're looking at different colors and you can't
Yeah.
put it all together. Yeah.
And
And
if
the
we use
pyramid,
one of those like three-sided science fair type things, I think you can get them all black as a background to it.
Yeah.
And maybe put some stars on it. It
Yeah.
would create a
Mhm.
nice accent maybe.
Mhm. Yep.
And then for
Or-
Christmas Eve, we could always push the Advent wreath back and bring the nativity scene front.
Right,
And then make that more, make that more prominent.
yeah,
Where's it?
okay.
Where's the? Where's it going to be set up at?
We were talking about putting it on the altar,
All right, give me 1 second here. Let's
at least through Advent, and then I think bringing it up to the front, moving the wreath for Christmas Eve would be really a good idea.
So as we can see here, how big is it?
It would span about that middle green.
And how tall are the figurines and everything?
They're like they're about a foot, if that.
Yeah.
See, my only thought is for something that's this wide and figurines this big.
Well, figure about almost the height of the candle.
Okay. Yeah, we could try out to see. What I'm thinking is we're probably going to want to do like a pre-recorded video of the positioning of the animals and the different figurines, and then we just insert that into Zoom Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just going to kind of see some little spot back here and not really be able to make it out too much.
Right.
That's my only concern.
No, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And that kind of goes with Ethan and Lainey. We're talking with the Dowells, and Carrie had said that it would be really great if for the worship services weekly or even every other week that there was a before worship, time that was specific for the kids that could, show a craft that they could make, tell part of his story, something like that. And it's not just during Advent time, but just regularly do something with the kids, because we haven't been worrying about the kids
Like
up
that
to
idea.
this
That's a
point.
great idea.
And we've been talking about, starting back a little bit of faith time. That would be a micro faith time. So we could use Advent kind of as our inlay of that. Maybe there's not the craft thing, but it's at least the telling of the story and building of our nativity. Of course, they don't get the fun part of putting the pieces in, which I know they love to do. And they kind of almost fight over who gets to do it this week, It'll be a little different this year, but maybe that is our way of bringing the kids in. And so we can either do that before worship, or we can do it in the middle of worship. And like Ethan said, we would kind of have to pre-record it so that we could see it in detail, because from a distance, you're not going to know what it is. So what are
we
your thoughts?
have we have the altar, and then we're going to have the candles. But on a normal year, we have the nativity scene on a little table off to what would be my left.
Yeah, in front
Can't
of
we
the
put
pulpit.
that table in front of the candle, because it was lower, instead of putting it on the altar where nobody could see it?
No idea.
We'll have to play with it and come up with some options. Maybe Ethan, Lainey, and I can do a little bit of pre-recording of some setup options and send it to y'all, and you can say option 1 or option 2, and see what we come up with.
Yeah, I was just thinking when Ethan shared the screen
Yeah.
a couple minutes ago, I'm wondering if you can kind of pull it, the nativity scene up closer to the camera, so it's almost in the foreground, but not have it there the whole time, because then it's going to take this kind of the spotlight away from you.
And
That's-
it takes away the wreath too. So we just need
Yeah.
to figure out some positioning. I mean, we could, I hate to put it on a wheeling cart and we wheel it in, wheel it out type of thing.
No, that's,
That was
Well,
actually what was going through my mind right there.
Right. Because the camera itself that we're using doesn't have the ability for zoom and regular. It is one view, that's what you get. So
Well,
I
that
mean,
bring-
if we had that ability for zoom, which I don't know that they really make them that
I
would
don't
do
think so.
that, that would be a little different. So I think we'd have to kind of, in order to really see it, I think we'd have to pre-record it.
that brings up a question, because I was going to ask Ethan about this, because I think we might have a use for another camera. If we use a separate, that we could actually position closer, and we could use that to emphasize certain things during the service, especially with the Christmas service or Advent. If we just key in on the nativity, or if we key in on the Advent wreath, during the service, is there capability to do that? I know it may not be Zoom on Zoom, but there might.
Cameras have to be attached to the computer, and they would be like hanging out in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
If you transition, because of our space restraints. So I don't know how that would work, but Ethan is thinking very deeply. So if we can,
I purposely wanted him to start really thinking about that.
So I mean, it would be nice to have different views, and we've talked about that for various things. But
yeah,
so it's something that we can think about. He's still thinking really hard. So
You see a smoke coming out my ears?
Yeah. We'll see what we come up with. But, it's this whole thing is, I mean, Ethan has been phenomenal through it. And all I can say is if it hasn't been for him, y'all would be still back on the phone with me.
Yeah.
We would still be using training wheels. So what we have is amazing, and we're still tweaking, but we're getting a lot closer. Okay, so what about this? We swap the location of the Advent wreath and the nativity. The Advent wreath goes up on the altar.
that would work.
And
Yeah.
we can take away the two tall candles, keep the Jesus candle each week, and use the wreath as our main candle lighting for the service.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the nativity is down further on the credence table, and so it's a bit closer. You still may not be able to see it in really big detail, but it's closer, and we may be able to set up a camera, that's closer up to that, to and still make it to the laptop where we are right now without it really impeding in the rest of worship. So just a thought. So we can swap that out. So poinsettias, the wreath, and the nativity are our primary decorations this year. If we have strings of white lights, I know we have that on the Advent wreath battery lights. I've got a whole bunch of strings of little fairy battery lights left over from the wedding. So, they might make an appearance for Christmas here.
There you go.
Okay.
Give things a little bit more sparkle, dimension, things like that. But we're going to keep it really simple and tight. We're good with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, sorry, go ahead.
I think the lights are actually a really great idea, because for me, I really wanted a tree, but the lights would help.
Yeah.
For the second camera position, where are you guys thinking? Give me 1 second here.
Well, my husband would vote for seeing the congregation that's there. He's always like going like this, like he thinks if he moves his head a certain way, he's going to be able to see the congregation. Like, you're going to get what you get there, Stan.
Oh,
He
that's
likes
funny.
everybody to walk in front of the camera after it's over to see who's there.
Well, if I wouldn't make y'all motion sick, I'd pick up the laptop or I would turn the camera tripod and bring it back, but I think I might make some people sick. But yes, we'd like to know who's there. And I try and mention who's there, so folks know. But this past Sunday, there was less than a dozen people, right, Lainey?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a small group of our diehard folk, and
Yeah.
so it was a nice crowd. And since now I'm in the kind of the hybrid transition stage, I can't see everybody's faces on the screen like I do right now, and like I did when I was in the real Zoom position. So I feel kind of lost when I'm staring at the sea of nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was joking. I think I'm going to print everybody's pictures out so I have faces to look at.
Should have done that before.
Yes, we've talked about that, and a lot of churches have done that just so that they feel like they're, talking with their peeps right up close. Anything else you can think of that we need to hit on? I think we covered a lot, and we'll come back to a few pieces of it. I'll type up the notes and get them out to everybody. Anything you can think of that we might have missed or that we should touch on? We did decorations, Advent stuff. We did the Christmas Eve, and I think we pretty much covered that. Maybe once the notes are done, y'all can maybe have questions or can touch base off of it with me and let me know some other suggestions. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Yep.
All righty. Council is meeting Monday night. So we already have 3 of our 5 council people. So we'll lift up again to the other 2, the concerns about number of people Christmas Eve in the sanctuary, and that we're talking about saying, please RSVP so we know quantity for seating appropriateness. And I think that'll take care of a lot of our concern. Because most of our extras that come are tied to our own people.
Yeah, they are.
So we, in the last few years, I don't remember us having folks really from the community coming in other than maybe 1 or 2.
Has anybody ever established how many is maximum capacity? During this time, not
Yeah.
regular time.
I thought it went back to 50 at one point. I don't know if we're still at 50 or not.
I thought I had heard that there was not 25, but 25%. And then there was some talk about possibly raising that number. But we've got it, just so that you remember, for those of you that haven't been in the sanctuary, we've got the pews divided basically in half. And so we start, doesn't matter whether you start at the front or the back, they're divided in half and it's opposites. So if you are sitting facing the altar and you're on the left side of the pew, then the one in front of you, left side is blocked off and you can only sit on the right side. And people are encouraged to, if you are there by yourself, you don't sit in a pew with anybody else, but
Right.
family units can be in a pew together. So we have to
Right.
kind of keep that in mind too.
Mhm.
And since we've had so few people, even when we had the 2023 in the sanctuary with Lainey and I back over the summer, everybody still had plenty of distance among themselves. They spaced out and didn't sit close to each other. So there was usually more than one pew separation.
It's just so hard to predict it. I'm wondering, even with RSVP, if you want to come up with what you feel is a maximum number,
Mhm.
and then tell people after after you hit your maximum that reservations have been cut off, or
Right.
they'd have to sit in the fellowship hall. But I don't think that's an option, right, Ethan? Because you
No.
have that set up for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and I were talking about getting it projected over there because we would be using the projector in the sanctuary.
You
Then
couldn't do it in the fellowship hall too. Yeah.
Right.
the only way we could do is to have somebody else's laptop or something and hook it to the TV. We've got a nice flat screen TV now that's, you know, like a 40-inch or 42-inch. So, but it's not like tons of people would be able to really see it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, we
Um,
would, if we were to have something over in Fellowship Hall, we would definitely have to do projector for more to see. Otherwise, we have everyone crowding around this 42-inch TV, and
At the
that
pizza.
kind of, exactly.
Not gonna work.
But what we've been doing is our Zoom link is not published to the public, and that has kept us safe from all of the inbreaking of, you know, Zoom bombing and other fun stuff that a lot of other people have experienced. But do we want to make that public for Christmas Eve and tell, you know, so that other people in the community know that they can join us for worship via Zoom?
If we make
So-
it public, oh, go ahead.
Zoom link that we use is a consistent one week after week, correct?
Christmas Eve, I think it will be a separate link, but
That's
the
what-
one,
Yes.
yeah, the other ones are ones that we've been using, and they're set through the end of the year. But
Right.
Christmas Eve would be a separate one because it's a different time.
Yeah. That might help to preserve the integrity of the original link then.
What I would also suggest is we change the password. Brenda, with the settings of Zoom, if you change the password for one meeting, it'll change it for all the meetings.
Mm.
So for Christmas Eve, you'll need to change it for that meeting, and then
Okay.
change it back to 588702 for everything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
we may have to put our heads together on that to do it, but I think that's appropriate, you know,
I know
but
way too much about this software.
yeah, I get it. But if we make it available to the public, then more people may choose to join that way rather than coming in.
Yes.
And so then we may just have our intimate 20 people, you know, in the sanctuary, and we'll have plenty of space, and we won't feel as
Right.
concerned about being there. Because yeah, I have to confess, if I had 50 people sitting in that sanctuary, I'd be sweating bullets up there. I wouldn't want to be there, but I would be there because that is part of, you know, that's what's expected. But it would make me feel very uncomfortable.
Yep.
But this is what we'll do. All right, let me type up notes. I'll send them out on Monday. I'm going to be on vacation Tuesday through the following Sunday, the 15th. We're going to do a pre-recorded service on the 15th. You'll hear more about it on Sunday. Ethan is going to set up Zoom just like he normally would, and we'll play it when the time is right for worship to start.
So everyone's still going to be able to talk to everyone before.
Yep.
And then
Oh,
at 10:30, that's when I'll say,
Yeah.
all right, we're starting now, share screen and play.
Right. So they'll at least get the experience of what a pre-recorded is, but people will know ahead of time that it's going to happen. So whether they want to join us or not, it's up to them. But whoever does come to worship that day, it will be a little bit different. And we're recording it this Sunday after our regular service. So we're doing 2 worships this week, back to back.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
sorry. I had
No.
a guest at the door. Sorry. What are we recording this week?
The worship service for November 15th.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So no worries, but you'll all get notes. I'll send them out on Monday. And like I said, just start the feedback chain of ideas, information, if we're missing something or you've thought of something, okay?
Sounds great.
Thank you, everybody, for all of your help. We could not do this year without, well, can't do it any year without you, but definitely not this year without you, in order to make it as meaningful as possible for folks so that they feel like this is really Christmas Eve worship and we're there for the real thing, not just watching a video. So thank you for that. Have a blessed night, a blessed week. Wendy definitely will be praying for you and your colleagues and the patients there on your floor. I hope that all goes well and this passes quickly for you.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, everybody be safe. Know that you're in my thoughts and prayers, and I will see you soon.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
we'll see you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
So